They say legends are just stories. But what if one of them was real? What if an ancient empire, more advanced than us today, once ruled the earth, and then vanished in a single night? This is the story of Atlantis, the city that may still be hiding beneath the sea. You open your eyes. The air feels different, light, warm, almost alive. You rise from your bed and walk to the window, and what you see leaves you frozen. Stretching out before you are rings of land and sea, perfect circles cut into the earth like the design of a god. Sunlight glitters across canals that flow like liquid silver. The city hums. Crystal domes pulse with soft light, towering walls shine like polished marble, and in the distance, white towers rise as if carved from pure firestone. You step outside. The ground beneath your feet is smooth and glowing, as though alive. Silent pods float through the air, not cars, not ships, but something in between. No horns, no smoke, no chaos, only rhythm, harmony, and peace. Your home itself is alive. Walls carved from luminous stone adjust to your breath, cooling and warming with your body. The air carries the faint vibration of music, though no instrument is playing. You ask yourself, where am I? And then it hits you. You are in Atlantis. A place so advanced it feels like the future, yet so ancient it should not exist at all. But how did such a place simply vanish in one night? But this mystery of Atlantis didn't begin with us. It began more than 2,000 years ago, with a man named Plato. Plato was no ordinary thinker. He was the student of Socrates, the teacher of Aristotle, the voice of reason in ancient Greece. His words carried such weight that generations built their knowledge upon them. So when Plato wrote about Atlantis, people listened. In two famous works, Timaeus and Critias, he told a story unlike any other. He claimed the tale came from Egyptian priests, passed down through Solon, a respected Greek statesman. According to them, Atlantis was real, a vast island empire that ruled beyond the Pillars of Heracles, larger than Libya and Asia combined. This wasn't poetry. Plato gave details too sharp to ignore. He described its armies, its kings, its temples, and even how its harbors opened into the great ocean beyond. Yet here's the problem. Some scholars said Plato invented it, a metaphor for pride and downfall. A lesson, not a history. But others asked, if it was just a fable, why did he use real places? Why measure its size with real continents? Why speak of it as history, not myth? Plato was trusted. His words were gold. And yet here he was, describing a world more advanced than Greece could ever imagine. And if his account was true, then Atlantis was no myth. If Plato was telling the truth, then Atlantis was not just another city. It was a world beyond imagination. Picture streets built with sacred geometry, every angle designed to match the stars, every wall humming with hidden energy. Their homes weren't piles of stone. They were living structures of crystal and orichalcum, glowing with colors that shifted with the sun. These houses breathed with you, keeping perfect temperature, channeling the earth's frequencies. The city itself was alive. Magnetic pods glided silently above the ground, weaving through rings of water and land. No traffic. No smoke. No chaos. Only balance. Temples weren't for worship alone. They doubled as healing sanctuaries, where sound, light, and color replaced knives and medicine. Instead of bitter pills, patients lay beneath crystal domes where vibrations realigned the body and calmed the mind. In Atlantis, science and spirituality were not enemies. They were the same language. Every invention served both purpose and soul. Imagine walking into a hall where giant quartz pillars pulsed with energy, lighting the entire city without wires, powering ships that crossed oceans with ease. Or looking up at towers built not only for beauty but to harmonize the land with the heavens. To us, this feels like science fiction. To Plato, it was history. And if even half of it is true, then Atlantis stood thousands of years ahead of us, a civilization that had already solved the mysteries we are only beginning to touch today. But these wonders were only the beginning. Atlantis held secrets that could bend reality itself. If Atlantis truly mastered knowledge that could bend reality, then its greatest secret was the power of crystals and sound. Legends say their buildings weren't carved by hand. Instead, stone blocks were lifted with frequency. Atlantean engineers directed sound waves at matter until it grew light as air. With vibration alone, they could reshape rock, levitate massive walls, even lock stones together so tightly that not a blade of grass could fit between. Some ruins today still whisper of this lost science. At Pumapunku in Bolivia, stones weighing hundreds of tons sit joined with machine-like precision. At Baalbek in Lebanon, colossal blocks remain a mystery to modern cranes. Even the underwater monuments of Yonaguni, Japan, hint at structures that match Plato's tale. Were these echoes of Atlantean technology? And crystals, they weren't just decoration. Quartz towers drew energy straight from the Earth's magnetic field. Imagine Tesla's dream of wireless power, but perfected thousands of years ago. In Atlantis, streets glowed without lamps, vehicles floated without engines, and water even flowed uphill. Their medicine too was far beyond ours. Instead of hospitals, they had rejuvenation chambers, crystalline pods that healed with light and vibration. These chambers repaired DNA, regenerated tissue, and some say, even extended life for centuries. Think about it. A civilization that built with sound, powered cities with crystal grids, and treated age like a temporary problem. To us, it sounds like fantasy. But to Plato, it was history. And if ruins across the world still carry fragments of this forgotten science? If such technology existed, why do we not have it today? If such incredible technology once existed, then what was it like to actually live there? Imagine waking up each morning in a home built from orichalcum and crystal. The walls glow softly, adjusting to your body's rhythm, keeping perfect balance between light and shadow. Your windows don't just show the sunrise, they filter energy, filling your room with harmony before you even step outside. The streets are alive, but silent. Levitating pods drift smoothly above invisible tracks, gliding across rings of water and land. No wheels, no smoke, no rush. Time itself feels slower, yet more meaningful. Work in Atlantis wasn't about money or survival. It was about purpose. People became healers, builders, or explorers not because they had to, but because their very soul resonated with it. Science was seen as sacred. Art was a form of prayer. Every action was a contribution to the whole. Children didn't sit in crowded classrooms memorizing numbers. They learned telepathy, sacred geometry, astronomy, even dream travel. Education was not to limit the mind, but to expand it. And leadership? Kings and queens weren't chosen by bloodline, but by wisdom. Only those who passed tests of discipline, intuition, and spiritual strength could rule. And beside them stood priests, masters of astral projection and universal law, guiding the nation with balance of mind and spirit. It was a world designed for harmony. A society that feels less like the past, and more like the future we still dream about. But even paradise has its cracks, and Atlantis was no exception. And in Atlantis, the first crack was greed. For centuries, wisdom guided the people. But slowly, desire for power and wealth began to take root. What was once a city of harmony turned into a kingdom of ambition. Priests who once spoke of balance became silent. Leaders who once ruled with integrity sought conquest. Plato wrote that the Atlanteans turned away from their divine purpose. Their technology, once used for healing and creation, was bent toward control and domination. Their greatness became arrogance, and their arrogance brought destruction. Prophets warned them. Signs appeared in the skies. Tremors shook the ground. But the people ignored the voices, too blinded by pride. Then it happened. In Plato's words, violent earthquakes and floods struck, and in a single day and night of misfortune, Atlantis sank beneath the sea. Imagine it: the shining towers, the crystal domes, the silent pods, the temples of light, all swallowed by the ocean in one night. One moment, the greatest civilization the world had ever seen. The next, nothing but waves and silence. But here's the mystery. If Atlantis was destroyed so suddenly, was it truly just an earthquake? Or was it part of something greater, the legendary Great Flood itself? If Atlantis truly sank beneath the waves, was that the end? Or did its people find a way to live on? Many ancient legends say survivors escaped the disaster and carried their wisdom across the world. In Egypt, they spoke of Thoth, the god of writing and knowledge. In Mesoamerica, the Maya told of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent who brought law, astronomy, and art. In the Andes, the Inca revered Viracocha, a bearded teacher who arrived after a great flood. Different names. Different lands. Yet the same story: strangers who came with impossible knowledge. The mysteries don't stop there. In Mali, the Dogon people somehow knew details about the Sirius star system that modern telescopes confirmed only recently. In Turkey, the Piri Reis map showed Antarctica centuries before we officially discovered it, and it was drawn without ice. How could this be possible? Unless remnants of an older knowledge survived. Even the monuments of Earth seem to echo one design. Pyramids in Egypt, Mexico, and China, massive stones at Pumapunku and Baalbek, and the underwater city of Yonaguni in Japan. They all whisper of techniques far beyond their time. Coincidence? Or the fingerprints of Atlantis scattered across continents? Maybe Plato was right. Maybe Atlantis fell, but its children carried the fire. And what we call the rise of civilization was really just fragments of a forgotten empire resurfacing. If Atlantis lived on in fragments, then maybe it still whispers beneath our feet today. Close your eyes for a moment, and picture Atlantis once more. Above you, the skies shimmer with crystal towers channeling energy through the air. Streets glow without wires, pods drift silently across the rings of sea and land. Temples hum with sound, their walls alive with light that heals not just the body, but the spirit itself. This was not fantasy. According to Plato, this was history. A civilization that lived as though science and soul were one. And yet, it was not ignorance that destroyed them. It was not weakness. It was corruption. Greed. A collapse of values so deep that no technology could save them. Their fall was not from a lack of knowledge, but from the loss of wisdom. So what does Atlantis mean for us today? Perhaps it is not only a tale of the past, but a warning for the future. Because if Atlantis once rose, then fell, could it rise again? Could humanity discover once more what was buried beneath time and sea? Atlantis may be gone, or it may be waiting. The real question is, are we ready for its return?